The insect thinks it has found a meal. It is wrong. It has found a mouth. A fly lands on a leaf that glitters like morning dew. The droplets smell sweet. Then the leaf closes, slowly, and dissolves it alive. By the end, you'll understand how a thing with no brain, no eyes, no muscles out, thinks an animal that has all three: host or hijacker. No one is safe. Here is the part that should stop you cold. A carnivorous plant has no brain, no eyes, no nerves, no way to even know an insect is near. And yet it hunts, reliably for its entire life. There are roughly 600 species on this earth that stopped waiting for sunlight to feed them and started killing for it. Why would a plant need meat at all? Desperation. They grow where the soil is starving. Bogs and rainforest cliffs so poor in nitrogen that nothing else survives. Other plants pull nutrients from the ground. These couldn't, so they made a second choice. If you can't take nitrogen from the earth beneath you, take it from the animals that walk across you. They turn the living world into their soil, and the way they do it, with no muscles, no mind, nothing but chemistry and shape, is far more disturbing than teeth. Let's start where the trap is most beautiful, because beauty is the whole point. High in the rainforests of Borneo grows Nepenthes, the pitcher plant, a single leaf that swells over weeks into a water-filled vase hanging from a tendril. Some are the size of a teacup. The largest stand taller than a wine bottle, and inside them, researchers have found drowned frogs, lizards, and on rare occasions, a small mammal. That is not an exaggeration. It is a documented diet. Picture that for a moment. A plant, a thing we are taught lives quietly on sunlight and rain, quietly disassembling a vertebrate at the bottom of its own leaf. Nothing about that vase looks like a weapon. There is no jaw, no spring, no visible moving part, and yet it kills more dependably than most animals with teeth ever manage, which means the plant had to solve a problem no predator with a brain ever has to think about. How do you catch prey you cannot see, cannot chase, and cannot grab, when you are rooted to a single spot, and you will never move toward your victim, not even once? The answer is the most quietly ruthless piece of engineering in the natural world. Start with the fact that should be a fatal weakness. A pitcher plant has no nervous system, no brain to plan with, no eyes to aim with, no way to know an insect has even arrived. So how does a thing that cannot perceive its victim catch it so reliably? The answer is that it never tries to. It builds a machine that catches for it, a machine made entirely of chemistry and shape, running the same trap, the same way, every single time, for the plant's entire life. Consider the rim of the pitcher, the lip an insect must cross to reach the nectar. Under a microscope, that rim is covered in thousands of microscopic, downward-pointing ridges, slick with a film of water. When it's dry, an ant can stroll across it without a slip. But the plant releases its sweetest nectar precisely when the humidity is highest, in the cool of morning, or just after rain. And in that wetness, the rim becomes one of the most slippery surfaces ever measured in nature. The insect doesn't fall because something pushed it. It falls because the plant engineered the exact moment its feet would betray it. So the insect slips. It tumbles down the smooth inner wall into the pool of liquid waiting at the bottom. And now it tries to do the only thing it knows how to do: climb back out or open its wings and fly. Both are already impossible. The inner walls of the pitcher are coated in a waxy, flaking surface that crumbles under an insect's grip, like trying to climb a wall made of loose powder. And the liquid at the bottom is not water. In many species, it's slightly viscous, almost like a thin syrup, and it clings to the wings, fouling them, so flight becomes a sentence the insect can no longer pronounce. The victim is now standing in a private ocean it cannot drink its way out of, surrounded by walls it cannot climb, at the bottom of a vase it will never leave. And only now does the plant begin the part that earns the title of this video. Because catching the insect was never the goal. The goal was always to turn it into food. And that raises a darker question. How do you digest a meal when you have no stomach and no mouth at all? The pool at the bottom of the pitcher is not a drowning pit. It is a stomach turned inside out. The walls bleed enzymes into the liquid, and those enzymes do one thing. They take the insect apart. Its body softens, comes loose, and dissolves. And the plant simply drinks what's left straight through the walls that trapped it. No teeth, no jaw, just chemistry, eating in the dark. But one of these plants does something stranger still. Go back to the sundew, the glitter from our opening. Those droplets were never dew, they are glue. The insect lands expecting nectar and is held fast, and the more it struggles, the more the leaf folds inward, dragging it deeper into the adhesive. It is not snapped, it is embraced, and the harder it fights, the more completely it is held. Which raises the question this whole video has been circling toward. What happens when the prey is built to fight back? But slipping, drowning, dissolving, that's the mercy version. Because there is one of these plants that does something no leaf should be able to do. It waits, it counts, and it only kills once it's certain the thing inside it is still alive. What you've seen so far was just the trap. What's coming is the plant that does arithmetic. And then there is the most famous predator of them all, the Venus flytrap. A plant so strange that Charles Darwin himself called it one of the most wonderful in the world. Its trap is a hinged pair of lobes, fringed with teeth, and on the surface of each lobe sit tiny hairs called trigger hairs. Here is the genius and the horror of it. The trap will not close if you touch one hair. It waits. Only when a second hair is touched, or the same hair is touched twice. Within about 20 seconds does the trap fire. The plant is, in effect, counting. It is making sure that what landed on it is alive and moving, and not a raindrop or a falling speck of dirt that would waste a meal. It is performing arithmetic with no brain to do the math. When the count is met, the trap snaps shut in under 1/10 of a second, one of the fastest movements in the entire plant kingdom. By rapidly changing the water pressure in its cells and flipping its leaf from curved out to curved in, like a contact lens turning inside out. The teeth interlock into a cage, and the insect, now sealed in the dark, makes the fatal mistake of struggling. Because the fly trap is still counting. Every time the trapped insect thrashes and brushes those trigger hairs again, it casts another vote for its own digestion. After roughly 5 triggers, the plant becomes certain it has caught living prey worth the effort, and it seals the trap completely, pressing the lobes together into an airtight green stomach. Then the lobes begin to flood the chamber with digestive enzymes. Over the next 5 to 12 days, the insect is broken down where it stands, its soft tissues dissolved and absorbed, until nothing is left but the dry, hollow husk of its exoskeleton. When the trap finally reopens, the wind carries that empty shell away, and the plant is ready to count again. Sit with what that means. The insect's own movements, its panic, its instinct to escape, are the exact signals the plant uses to decide to kill it. Stillness might have saved it, but nothing alive can hold still inside a closing cage. The trap doesn't just catch the animal, it weaponizes the animal's will to live against it. Step back, and a pattern emerges that runs through everything this channel exists to show you. We tend to divide the living world into the things that hunt and the things that are hunted, the wolves and the deer, the spider and the fly. The carnivorous plant detonates that line completely. Here is an organism rooted to the ground, silent, green, the very symbol of the gentle and the harmless, and it has quietly become the apex predator of its own tiny world. The flower you'd photograph is the last thing 1,000 insects ever saw. This is the channel's thesis made visible. In nature, there is no neutral. There is the host, the one being used, fed upon, controlled, and there is the hijacker, the one doing the using. And the most dangerous hijackers are almost never the ones that look the part. They look like nectar. They look like dew. They look like a safe place to land. The pitcher plant didn't have to evolve teeth or claws or venom glands. It only had to learn how to be irresistible, to turn its own body into a promise it never intended to keep. And just when you think you've found the bottom of this, nature goes one layer deeper. Because some animals have learned to live inside the trap. There is a species of mosquito larva that develops only in the digestive fluid of pitcher plants, swimming in the very acid that dissolves everything else, feeding on the drowned insects, completely immune to the enzymes meant to destroy them. There are spiders that build webs across the pitcher's mouth to steal prey before the plant can claim it. There are even tiny crabs and ants that live in partnership with the plant, cleaning it, defending it, in exchange for shelter inside the killing jar. So here is the question to carry with you. If a predator this perfect can be colonized, robbed, and quietly used by the very creatures it was built to eat, then who, in that little pool of acid, is really the hijacker, the plant that built the trap, or the things that learn to live inside the trap and feed off its kills? In nature, the hunter is almost always being hunted by something smaller and far more patient. The carnivorous plant survives by turning a promise into a grave, by being the most beautiful thing in the bog and the last. But a flower that kills insects one at a time is almost merciful compared to what happens when a hijacker targets the one creature our entire world quietly depends on. Because somewhere right now, hives are falling silent, the bees are vanishing, and something far worse is moving in to take their place. That's the story I'm telling next, and once you see what's behind it, you will never look at an empty flower the same way again. Subscribe and follow the thread with me. Host or hijacker, no one is safe